Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, Jar of Marble dwellers and Jar of Marble curious. My name is Linda and this is Jar of Marbles. Hope that this finds you well. This week, I thought I would talk about getting older is the goal. There seems to be all this reverse stuff out there in regard to how very terrible it is to age. So I thought, we might talk about it a little bit. So I'd like to say hello and welcome to the podtastic world of Jar of Marbles. If you're listening to this, chances are you're either a curious cat looking for something new or you've stumbled across this podcast accidentally and are now trapped in our audio universe forever. Either way, we're glad you're here and ready to embark on a journey of quirky, thought-provoking, sometimes downright weird conversations. So buckle up, turn up the volume and let's dive into getting older is the goal. As we grow older, we have more time to accomplish our dreams and to actually have the time to dream and our passions. We face major changes to our lives, our lifestyles. Yet the irony is, many believe that it is lost to us. That is, I think many of us queen-agers lose our way and believe that there is no point in setting goals or making plans of any kind. Whether it be due to our own cognitive or physical changes, perhaps need for home care, a requirement for assistance for daily living, or the decline of a partner, we often lose our sense of self as we age and perhaps focus on what we can no longer do instead of what we can. And as Jim Rohn said, happiness is not something you postpone for the future. It is something you design for the present. We may start using sentences like, oh, look, I'm just too old.
Are you old?
I'm as old as I feel.
What?
I feel great, and yes, I'm getting older, Bob, yes. Through evolution, our brain has been built with a tendency look at the negative, survival over happiness. Back in the day, the ancestors had reason to be cautious and feel afraid, but today, to find fault everywhere and find things to be fearful about, threats are aplenty, is not helpful. Following the lead of psychologist Dr. Martin Seligman and his studies of happiness, from that are 5 pillars which happiness or happier aging stands. And the first one is choice, the opportunity to choose freely. Now, that is a wonderful feeling, determining where and how we spend our energy. The second is belonging, the need for regular, meaningful social interactions. The third is respect, a healthy respect for ourselves and others. The fourth is autonomy, the ability to make decisions without influence or interference. And the fifth is purpose, our reason for being. The pillars underpin our ability to set goals, such powerful principles that empower us to experience happiness and a sense of fulfillment. Sophia Loren said, there is a fountain of youth. It is your mind, your talents, the creativity you bring to your life, and the lives of people you love. When you learn to tap into the source, you will have defeated age. And as Walt Disney said, growing old is mandatory, but growing up is optional. Just love that. Now, because although you may not be as young as you once were, the truth is inevitable. And as Bob Hope said, you know you're getting older when the candles cost more than your cake. God love Bob Hope. I've learnt that life is like a roll of toilet paper. The closer it gets to the end, the faster it goes. And that was something that was said by Andy Rooney. Now, in the rule book of aging gracefully, the don'ts are blastingly loud, aren't they? And the do's are limited. No leather jeans, no cleavage, no mini skirts, no man buns, no roller skates. The list just goes on and on. It's like having your life booby-trapped. One false move and it will all fall down. It's enough to turn your hair white. Oh, wait. It has to be said, dressing for yourself is key as opposed to dressing for your age. In a world where so many decrees and commandments are being blown up, why not fashion for us older folk? There is nothing that can't be questioned now. Bugger it, I say. When I look around at what we have to choose from, good God, seriously, if I wanted to walk around with some floral arrangement on my chest and an equally odd-shaped skirt, now, there's just plenty of that everywhere, and they call that fashion. It's not. I wouldn't even use it to dry my dishes, but anyway, don't get me started. Where did we fall into only these kinds of shops to dress ourselves from? The old lady shop. I cannot foresee any time when I will be dressing like that, ever. But if that's your look and that's your bag, hey, all the power to you. Mix and match, I say, a bit of this and a bit of that, and, then you can get a look that I feel for myself comfortable in and still speak siren yet grandmother in one hot, fiery breath.
My granny thought that the doctor was hitting on her.
Really, Bob? How come?
Apparently, her hearing is going and she's got acute angina.
Oh, that's just a fantastic joke. Thank you so much for that, Bob. And I've got one for you.
Ah,
I used to love building sandcastles with my granny, but my parents thought it was so creepy that they glued the urn shut.
I don't think that's funny.
I do, Bob. But anyway, moving on. As I aged, I noticed that there were things I was changing. Some of it came naturally and others I was or am, willingly cultivating. For example, I listen more and so I'm mindfully talking less. In a conversation when I can see that someone is really wanting to talk about something and not telling people or my kids how they should live their life, allowing others to come up with their own solutions because I know that they're capable, and not taking on responsibility that is not mine, the whole stepping back, not rushing in to save the day, and feeling less guilty or not at all for not taking on said responsibilities. Now, if it means lots of hugs, I'm all about giving cuddles and being hugged. We just don't get enough. The other day, my eldest daughter came up to me and said, I don't think you get enough cuddles. And she came up, she just gave me a hug. Sniff. So lovely. Little kids need them, as do our teenagers, as do we. We all do, for all time. Confidence in our older age is exactly the same as when we are much younger, from the standpoint of it can be very nerve-wracking starting a new anything. Confidence comes from mucking it up a few times and learning and practicing and practicing. I recall at 35 doing dance rehearsals for the Rocky Horror Show, and I had no formal dance training whatsoever. So I would learn what I could at rehearsals and practice for hours at home after rehearsals. It was just the only way that I felt that I could keep up. And fortunately, I was able to, sometimes even with my baby in my arms. So go ahead, make mistakes. Twice, thrice, keep practicing, take what you learn and make some impressive shit. So where I felt I could fail abysmally, I sometimes found victory. And through not knowing how I was going to learn everything I needed to learn, the vagueness that my memory felt, I found clarity. So many of us are walking around pretending to be confident to know what we're doing and appearing collected, when in reality, there's a whole lot of suffering going on inside. We can be too scared to ask for help. And I know that can be really, really tricky, say in a workplace environment where your co-workers and managers have made it clear that they're not going to help you, they're not going to assist you, they're not going to answer any of your questions. They're not queen ages, are they? And they're certainly not marble dwellers. But I understand from that perspective that can be, awful. But that is where the age thing comes along. You ask and God help the sap that thinks they're going to take you to task over it. Anyway, the funny thing about getting older is while your eyesight starts getting weaker, your ability to see through people gets much better. Super X-ray vision, superpowers activated, but then we can employ selective seeing. You must in order to employ a peaceful life. As you grow and evolve as a person, you learn more about yourself and the people around you, and you do the best that you can and keep on with your life in your lane. #getting older is the goal. I have always had a naive confidence where I envision where I'd like to be and go after it. I am way more mindful about what I think about. I feel like I'm a social experiment in action. Watch this space. I mean, that's how I feel about what I do. I think, I'm going to give this a go and see how it works out. Honestly, we're all going to be dead one day, and we're going to be dead for a long time. So what the hell? What is there to lose, really? I've been following the fun for all time, and so hence when I look back on my life and my many jobs and businesses and experiences, when it was interesting, I stayed. Not many things I stayed around for though, because things at the time, in my time, sometimes just feel right, but most times, time goes by and it has to be let free. Now, when I say fun, I acknowledge hard work, yes, but if I'm enjoying what I do, it doesn't feel hard, but more life, embraced dedication. Everyone has a different take on fun. For me, it also includes challenge. Mostly, you don't see the challenge of it until after the fact. Now, here I am in my 60s and I feel I'm getting started. and I cannot see any reason why I can't move on to another thing, which moves me on to another thing. This applies to all of us, right? There are many who are way more wealthy than I am. I say this because we live in an age where so many just want to get wealthy and cut that break, and they live large, have no savings, and somehow they're going to get rich. It's the reframing of what you're doing or half pie aiming for. If you can find happiness, fun in a hobby, whatever that may be, you are being a sense of fulfillment. You're bringing a sense of fulfillment into your life that maybe you could not have anticipated had you not done it. Being in my 60s, I almost feel like a young wench again as I aspire to be around, God willing, for decades yet. So that means I have to put my money where my mouth is and go for it. Getting older is the goal. That means I'm still alive, marble dwellers, and so are you. And being older is, without a doubt, gifts you with a vast array of choices because you've been around for a while and you have an idea of how the knobs work and the dials and the tricky things that can and do happen. I would say I'm a jack of some trades and a master of none. Perfectly okay with that. Being a jack has its own points and being a master has its own too. Having less experience in certain arenas means I have had to and have to improvise a lot, and there lies the magic. I feel like I cannot be happy if I'm feeling too comfortable where I am. I know I have to improve myself, my aesthetics, the beauty of life as an older citizen of the world, borders vaporized. I aspire to know more and improve myself. When I say learn more, not the ever-present gloom and doom of media where I say more, I am talking that which is not readily seen, but there for the having if you choose. Growing older has given me the gift of lighting up my own corner. Good idea, I feel. It's great to have a true friend who thinks you're wondrous, and still a very good idea to be in charge of how you feel. Not always easy, as we can get sucked into other vortexes of doom. It's like that bus stop. Might be waiting a long time for someone to light up my space. And besides, it's no one else's job. I feel that pleasure should be mine. But, if someone else did want to, light up my space, that would just be fantastic. But I guess my point, as I'm sure, you're getting, is that you really got to look out for yourself there. I have to have a way of thinking about my world, my life, and that is doing a few things and regularly, like doing the work, whatever that is, that lights you up, that truly interests you. To rest is also so important. To reconnect with yourself, disengaging with everyone and everything. That rest, that invisible labour that makes my creative life important to create and write and paint and dance and sing and talk and be with young toddlers and animals and special family and treasured friends. Getting older is the goal. Don't let the detractors spoil the trip for you. Don't listen to bloody idiots about their imagined limitations for you. Geez, who cares? Not I. Be you. Be comfortable in your own skin, yet another gift that continues on into getting older. When you have a defined vision, it makes it so much easier to walk away from whatever no longer serves you. I know for sure that there is no expiration date for your dreams because in truth, it's all over when you say it's over. I remember as at primary school, I'd probably only be about 10 or 11, and I used to see the high school kids riding their bikes by, and I thought that they were so old. So it is all relative, isn't it? The goal is to get to primary school, to start school. The goal is then to get to high school, and the goal is then to go to university or get a job or whatever. But we're always aiming for something, and certainly now that I am safely into my 60s, I just really, really treasure my life. And so, getting even older than I am now is most definitely the goal. So I thought, I would just share all these thoughts with you because that's where we're all going if you're really lucky.
Didn't you write a song about getting older and it being the goal?
I did, Bob. Funny you should say. Getting older is the goal, marble dwellers. One day you'll understand this.
If you don't already.
Yeah. Let's go, Bob. I don't know whether I'm Bob or whether I'm Linda. I know. Oh, that's better. Thank you. Thank you so much. Oh, it's lovely to get a bit of applause. Do you like that? Got to sometimes arrange your own applauses, if you know what I mean. I have looked over the years and thought to myself at different times, if there were cameras in my house and just watching me, what I get up to on my own at times, things like if I'm really pleased about things or just feeling happy, I clap, not like as an applause type of clap. I just sort of clap to a clappity clap, clap, clap and do my own little dances. I don't know, it just raises the energy. It's just something I've always done. And now that I'm doing the podcast, I'm sort of looking at things and probably getting older too. I look back and go, yeah, been a bit of an interesting person of sorts for quite some time. But when I was thinking about doing getting older as the goal, it did get me thinking about relationships actually are more purposeful. Getting old means the more shallow and many friends of our youth are gradually replaced by a more concise and purposeful, if you like, set of connections. We have figured out where we fit and we found those with whom we fit with. Our friends are no longer just people we pass the time with, but with whom we are collectively building something great, something that you can really rely on and trust. By our older years, we have travelled to a few places, we've had a few heartbreaks, we've known the passionate fire of a burning romance, we've made boneheaded mistakes we paid for dearly, and we stumbled into, say, a few big breaks that taught us where we should be stepping. In short, we have gained a precious commodity more valuable than anything in our portfolio of experiences. You spend less time on the things that don't matter. We are liberated from the prison of superficiality. Cool is something left to the youth. Although us 60 girls, 70s, 80s, 90s and beyond, we're very cool too. We're just cool in a different kind of way. We seek quality over quantity, comfort over style. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying in the youngins don't aspire for that, but we just don't bother spending very much time even thinking about any of that. It's sort of very much been there, done that. Very much so. But anyway, looking back over my life and friendships I've had, there are a few that shriveled up for a number of reasons. I still hold them dear from the memory of when they were alive, when we were different. It is amazing how much we change. And as I'm very interested in brain health and development, it makes far more sense why people just go their own ways. But getting older and keeping that goal in mind, I do want to get really old because that means I'll be around for a while. Yet all things being equal, hashtag the goal is growing old and getting older. We live in a society, and I think it has been prevalent for donkeys, that being young is the only thing worth having. Who said that youth was wasted on the young? Author George Bernard Shaw. It was the great Irish dramatist and author, George Bernard Shaw, who famously declared that youth is wasted on the young. He later expounded upon his derogatory remark about young people of the day that they're brainless and don't know what they have. They squander every opportunity of being young on being young. Look, I just think that's incredibly rough. I love being around young people. I have young daughters and it is forever a breath of fresh air. And the humour of the older person, oh my God, the humour, it's so funny. I have found, because there are so many truisms within that we just don't care about anymore, become incredibly funny, very liberating. Like, for example, I don't call my toilet the John, I call it the gym. That way, it just sounds better when I say go to the gym first thing in the morning. I know, it's really, really bad. I know. Well, it's finally happened. We've become the incredibly older, sexy women that all the young girls just wish they could be. Well, it could be. They could be. As we age, our memory sometimes seems to go on vacation without letting us know. It's like a little game of hide and seek, if you will. The brain hides the memories and we seek them desperately, but they just don't seem to come out. And let's face it, there's nothing more frustrating than, say, arriving at the superb marquee, that's code for supermarket, I've been saying that for years, and have zero idea what I'm even there for. Now, I know this is not just an older woman thing, but I think some kind of relaxing of sorts sort of goes on, and that's really important, that really important item that you had to get. The whole concept, the whole idea of it's just gone. So lists are my go-to. I do like me a list. I literally would still be standing in the superb marquee if not for the list. Now, while health and fitness, family and community, personal purpose, independence, creativity and fun are vital and definitely massive plus. I was going to say multiple pluses, but hey, you know what I mean, you're smart. I'm still all about having a self-made career of sorts. I still want my hand in something and creating. I'm way too young in the brain to just watch telly and do little. I prefer and love being active. I love getting ideas and going for it and finding all of that a great balance when I'm standing in the superb marquee wondering what it was I had to get. So yes, I adore the idea of defying the general belief that us, our older girls, are wrinkled up old invisible has-beens. Defy, I say, hashtag getting older is the goal. Please. Now, here we are again at the end of another podcast, Marble Dwellers. I love the gals out there dressing how they please, getting their tattoos, their hair long, short and shaved, all colours, building their careers, their businesses, starting a podcast, recording music, painting, and just going for gold. Love, love, love it. I must say, though, fare thee well, Marble Dwellers. Thank you so much for coming and spending some time with me. Say good day to the family for me and give the emu a hug, and I'll see you next time. Okay, bye.